Welcome to Goji video, where he talked about the Megalodon that was in Jurassic World and we have missed it. Let's see what he found out that we didn't. If you have not seen Jurassic World Rebirth, this is spoilers ahead. Watch it right now on digital copy, so you can buy it anywhere digitally. With that, enjoy the video.
The ocean wasn't scary enough with the gangs of Spinosaurus and multiple Mosasaurus lurking about. Sharp-eyed viewers and careful listeners of the latest outing in the Jurassic saga saw a clear indicator another massive apex predator is back from the dead. On this episode of Goji Center, we dive into the depths to see why this giant shark might have been brought back, who might have done it, and who could have unleashed it into the modern ocean. In the aftermath of a fallen kingdom and establishment of a new dominion, numerous groups broke the barrier to the past and started resurrecting prehistoric species en masse. Biosyn was obviously the frontrunner, but the sheer volume of creatures loose in the world and black markets that we hadn't seen in previous entries in the franchise suggest plenty of different players were at work. And if Manticorp's now dearly departed Smilodon showed off anything, it's that beasts from long after the reign of dinosaurs were not off the agenda list. And most of the largest oceanic predators to ever live all hail from the age of mammals in the Cenozoic. Which brings us to the time and date of Jurassic World Rebirth. When one of our favorite mercenaries, Duncan, was being recruited, we could see quite a lot going on in the background. Not only were some of the most unsurprised fishermen in existence pulling in the decapitated remains of a Dunkleosteus bonefish, but at the same time Dr. Loomis was looking over a conveniently pet-sized baby pteranodon, we could see a very distinctive set of jaws in the background that would no doubt remind a lot of people of, well, the movie Jaws. And while it might initially look like an oversized set of a great white's grill, the thick shape of the teeth, front and back, with a unique curve on the back half with a flat forward face, clearly shows these jaws belong to a lineage of sharks that shouldn't be swimming the oceans or scourging the Brodies anymore. Otodontidae were a whole family of robust toothed predators that roamed the seas from 65 million years ago until about just 3 million years ago, often being the chief apex predators of the ocean directly after the end of the Cretaceous period. And while several species in this family achieved gigantic sizes, there is one that eclipses all the rest and is easily one of the most iconic oceanic predators of all time. There is little doubt the jaws behind Duncan belong to none other than Otodus Megalodon. And given this isn't exactly a museum where they're sitting, as well as the look and condition of those jaws, this does not look like a fossil. In the movie, Duncan's dialogue with Krebs revealed the chilling reality of the state of the modern ocean. While he was introducing the man in charge of team security, Krebs questioned the need for this. Duncan's response? To avoid ending up in one of these, referring to the jaws behind Krebs. Oh, and the follow-up phrase, a live one. That's right, ladies and gents. And this is where the rest of this episode will now take off. So, assuming this effort by the prop department isn't the product of an actual prop department in universe, this means at least one live Megalodon was swimming the seas until very recently. And unless we're going to joke we're just now finding out there's an off-screen crossover going on and Jason Statham killed that shark, this means somebody had the harebrained idea to bring the mightiest megatooth back from extinction. Who cloned it? Why did they do it? And how did that shark end up in the open ocean? Let's dive a little deeper to speculate on some of those answers. Until we find out more, we can't know for sure. So, disclaimer to all viewers, what follows is entirely speculation and extrapolation of what could have happened and why. So, who cloned the Meg? The answer to this question is perhaps one of the most mysterious of all. With InGen and Manticorp out of commission and Biosyn not likely in that kind of business anymore, it could have been any number of companies around the world that decided to put both hands on the idiot ball and recreate Megalodon. The Jurassic universe is largely like our own in terms of technology, with a few noticeable exceptions. One of them seems to be the capability of extracting and recreating prehistoric genomes from remains of otherwise completely unusable fossils. Everybody knows about the mosquito blood, but that probably wouldn't work in a lot of cases. Outside of maybe sucking the blood of a dead Megalodon that got beached, there really wouldn't be any way for a mosquito to get a blood sample from this ferocious fish. However, there are other ways. After all, we have seen creatures like Dunkleosteus and Dimetrodon brought back, both of which predate most blood-sucking insects by a pretty wide margin. But we know other methods do exist. Gray mentioned some alternate DNA extraction methods in Jurassic World, and it was implied elsewhere. Getting protein fragments from bone and working to recreate the genome from there, it would be possible to reconstruct the DNA of something otherwise unbitten by a mosquito. So here's how Megalodon DNA might have been extracted in-universe. While the vast majority of Otodus Megalodon fossils are their infamous teeth, there do exist fossils of other body parts. As sharks get older or larger, the cartilage in their skeleton can stiffen and harden, thanks to incorporating minerals and salts from the water they swim through. Once in a while, a Meg died in a way its skull and spinal cord might be sturdy enough to get fossilized alongside the teeth. These fossils would be an order of magnitude younger than some of the other animals brought back in the Jurassic World timeline. So, if somebody can clone the dunk from hundreds of millions of years back with these kinds of methods, recreating a Megalodon from just a few million years ago would be child's play. So, if not Biosyn, InGen, or Manticorp, who done it? Truth is, it might be impossible to tell. That is, until Universal follows up on Duncan's implied statement that the big shark is swimming around and throws in a company name. Instead of a big venture by a company producing dozens of different types of creature, this might have been a venture by anything from a veteran genetics firm to a new startup trying to make a name for themselves. What better way to attract investors and get people's attention than bringing back something enigmatic and borderline legendary as the Megalodon? Just look at how much investment that fiasco with the fake direwolves got colossal biosciences from the energized Game of Thrones fans. But as the era of dire farces and fake Tyrannosaurus handbags approaches us in the real world, there is another possible motive beyond another attempt at a theme park attraction to bring back Otodus Megalodon. One that might imply the group responsible for this big shark getting turned loose might be tied to companies like Parkergenics Pharmaceuticals more than any amusement adventure. So, why clone a Megalodon? Bringing back the greatest shark that ever lived and keeping it captive might have been a venture motivated by a lot of different things. However, those doing it might not have had as benevolent of intentions as Jiuming Zhang in the Meg 2. Beyond showcasing and housing such an awesome super predator, there is one other dark reality to bringing back Megalodon in specific. Sharks have become a commodity. Hundreds of millions of years of existence and enduring one mass extinction after another, and the biggest threat to them of all time comes from how much money some people can make off of them. So shark meat, particularly those of large predatory species like tiger sharks, are usually bad tasting and high in mercury. But this doesn't stop it from being sometimes sold as expensive gourmet dishes catered to the ultra-rich, fancying themselves feasting on apex predators, often with 1 pound of exotic shark steak costing more than most people's monthly food budget. Shark fin soup is still a status symbol in numerous countries despite so many efforts against it. And ever since a bogus medical claim that sharks don't get cancer, spoiler warning, they absolutely do get it, millions of people have bought into expensive shark cartilage and liver supplements for supposed health benefits and hope of staving off all manner of cancers. Some supplements can end up running hundreds of dollars per pound or even far more. But guess what? Absolutely none of this crap works. But that never stopped some profit ventures. And as Rebirth showed, people will go to the ends of the earth and to the most dangerous places on the planet for the promise of medical miracles. So why not plunder the seas too? It's one of the key reasons why shark harvests around the world spiked in the last few decades, potentially killing more sharks per month from harvests for meat, cartilage, and fins than natural causes did in thousands of years. And the Megalodon would be the literal motherlode. And it comes with the added benefit of using an extinct, genetically engineered creature for the product instead of protected endangered species. As Dodgson expressed in the second novel, and Ludlow directly put it in the second movie, an extinct animal brought back to life has no rights. It exists because we made it. We patented it, we own it. Imagine not only the raw market wealth of having multiple tons of raw shark to process, but also being able to gain exclusive rights and marketing hype, putting an apex of apex predators on the menu. A pound of great white could cost hundreds. A pound of Megalodon skin, liver oil, meat, and cartilage could cost thousands. Perhaps even tens of thousands if you kept exclusive rights. After all, imagine the hype a product could get if it contained real Megalodon in the mix over a typical shark species. species. And we're talking at least 50 tons worth of shark to make use of. Processed right and marketed smartly, one slaughtered Megalodon would turn a profit that would make the $26 million price tag for the Indominus Rex look like chump change. And for a species that would require very little research and development to create, no hybrid genome to splice, and already has built-in market appeal by taking everything profitable about sharks and multiplying it. Megalodon, like most mackerel sharks such as great whites, would have been born live without an egg, which would make creation and recreation difficult at first. However, unless Jurassic World was getting its mosasaur meals financed by a psychopath feeding the lizard endangered great whites they caught in the wild, it seems the technique to clone mackerel sharks already exists in the 2010s. Considering great whites also take decades to mature, the know-how to make them grow much faster was probably also used. And with the technology and information let out into the wider world, these techniques could be refitted to clone and recreate the Meg. Otherwise, they might be left waiting even longer for the product. A 2025 study by Dr. Shimada and others indicated Ototus Megalodon would take potentially even longer to reach adult size than great whites. From there, whatever company responsible for this venture would probably keep it in a saltwater enclosure and would bulk feed their sharks massive amounts of low-quality meat from whatever suppliers they could get so it could put on the pounds quickly. Techniques and machinery used for butchering whales would likely be modified for when it came time to cull and collect on their investment. So now let's entertain the idea that something like this actually took place in the Jurassic universe. How did we wind up with Megs in the ocean? Well, it seems like with so many other foolish ventures in this franchise with prehistoric animals, something went very, very wrong. Who let the Meg out? If a world-class theme park with the benefit of hindsight from Hammond's Park, thousands of staff, an isolated environment, and years of experience could still go haywire in a single day, what chance did others have? And also, what are the chances that an unscrupulous company recreating species to butcher and make money from desperate cancer victims and the ultra 1% be the types to have better security? In this hypothetical scenario, the group responsible for the Meg Farm would have probably been cutting corners at every opportunity. They want that return on investment as fast as possible. Keeping just great white sharks in enclosed aquarium spaces is already effectively impossible. The reason you haven't seen Bruce in an aquarium is because great whites are used to roaming hundreds of miles and living in open water. As summed up by science educator Wildworld in their video about the subject, even juvenile great whites find themselves feeling cramped, banging against walls, getting confused by electrical signals. They become stressed, they might not eat properly, and almost all need to be released soon after. Sadly, many have died sometimes within days of being enclosed. So, what are the odds an unscrupulous group in it for a profit would spend millions, potentially billions of dollars on a record-sized aquarium the size of Manhattan just to house something they intend to kill for profit? Instead, they would probably try to make an outdoor enclosure set out at sea. This would be a walled-off section of ocean kept as a perimeter to keep the sharks in while saving a fortune on creating their enclosure. This does mean far more room to keep the Meg alive and growing, but it also means escape would be substantially easier. All it would take is one weakness in the perimeter, one heavy storm that floods the area, or even just a shark jumping out of the water and vaulting itself over into open ocean, as many species can do. And what's worse, an expensive project like this would never put all their eggs in one basket. Why cultivate and kill one Meg at a time if you can maximize profits with a constant stream of them? Keeping multiple smaller sharks together reduces the chances of them attacking one another since they are all equally well armed, and means far more profit when it comes to culling day. It also means that escaping is substantially easier and multiple sharks are probably going to get out. Something much like this in real life even happened in Florida back in the 90s. When Hurricane Andrew slammed into southern Florida, it smashed apart a reptile facility, releasing dozens to hundreds of Burmese pythons into the Everglades. Together with releases from the pet trade, these snakes now number in the thousands and have been scourging the local ecosystem. One way or another, corner cutting and lack of foresight would come back to bite them hard, and might result in a few other things literally getting bitten even harder. So now, what if the Meg was out in the oceans in the Jurassic franchise? The Pliocene epoch was potentially the time of the deadliest ocean that ever existed. In addition to the Megalodon, there were numerous other giant shark species roaming the seas and predatory whales that could eat things the size of most marine reptiles. Megalodon was also part of a completely unique predatory niche. A 2022 study on the species investigating its diet via isotopic analyses showing its diet found it was at times hunting and consuming other large carnivores. So, with multiple fast-growing megs on the loose, it could turn into a slaughter at sea. Inexperienced great white sharks are typically the ones most prone to attacking humans due to not knowing the difference between seals and surfboards. With their metabolism jacked up to grow faster, these megs could have all of those problems multiplied. Even if only a portion of the escapees grew up to be full size, each and every shark could be a huge threat to marine mammals, native sharks, and small boats. The Delgado family would have certainly fared worse had a Megalodon attacked the sailboat, ending this plot prematurely. It's also possible, if these events happened, some of the megs might have wound up tangling with other released apex predators. That decapitated Dunkleosteus was cut through suspiciously very cleanly. And with Ototus Megalodon having been a natural predator to whales, it would undoubtedly target them once again, possibly bringing it into conflict with the first generations of the released mosasaurs that were peculiarly friendly towards whales and might try to attack to defend their pod. And if this piece of conceptual art and graphics is taken as canon, the fate of this particular mosasaurus we see dead in this photograph may not have been the work of humans if this all played out. Having a set of meg jaws so casually on display like a trophy doesn't make this seem like the greatest shark to ever live being in the oceans again was just a one-off event. And with the Megalodon being largely exempt from issues adjusting to the climate that the dinosaurs were, given the modern-day temperatures are very similar to the Pliocene, they might well have had the whole ocean to roam. And should the greatest shark to ever roam the seas roam into the Caribbean near an island very few ever venture to, the tides might run red when two equally titanic forces of nature might come to blows as the final apexes of the Mesozoic and Cenozoic meet again.
That was Goji's video on the Megalodon. Now, hypothetically scenario on Megalodon being addressed by me, but we all saw was the skull of the Megalodon and its tooth. We don't know much about it or where it came from, but Goji made a hypothetical what ifs, and I liked it. I'll see you guys next time in another video.